Kansas Governor Laura Kelly is who Joe Biden thinks he is and who the media tries to convince you Joe Biden is. But, of course, he's not. But Laura Kelly here in Kansas actually is that person. It's a compliment. I'll give her that much. It really is. Laura Kelly is someone who is not overly charismatic by any stretch of the imagination. No one's going to confuse her from a charisma perspective with Donald Trump or Barack Obama. But when it comes to savvy politician who has played her cards to more or less perfection every step of the way, well, yes, getting some help from local media, I'm not denying that. But she has played that hand beautifully. Like it or not, she has. And that continued this week. So this was the big news yesterday where Laura Kelly rolled out a tax plan. And not just any tax plan. She rolled out a tax plan that also included the support from Republican state senators. John Dole, who is a guy out in western Kansas, I think he's Garden City, and then Rob Olson here in Olathe, and State Senator Dennis Pyle, a.k.a. Gomer Pyle, and Democratic leader Dina Sykes. So she rolls out this bipartisan tax proposal on the first day of the legislative session. To me, she completely catches Republican leadership with their pants down. Now, they say that they've got their own proposal and that it's going to be coming out later this week. But she beat them to the punch. Laura Kelly, the Democrat, rolls out a plan to cut taxes for Kansans. Now, this is not something, cutting taxes and Democratic Party usually don't go hand in hand. But Laura Kelly knows that if she wants to win the public relations battle here, this is a heck of a way to do it right out of the gates. She has her political opponents playing defense on day one of the legislative session. That's what she did. And she got Republicans in the state Senate to support her tax-cutting plan. So what does it include? We told you about it yesterday, but of course yesterday was mostly focused on the weather. First off, the plan would exempt the first $100,000 in state property taxes for all Kansas homeowners. The next part of the plan would eliminate state taxes on Social Security income. Kansas, one of only a handful of states that still taxes Social Security income, which is very dumb. You want to keep people here after they're retired, not chase them away. And taxing their Social Security, just out of principle, is a great way to chase people away. Also, increase the standard deduction for married couples. That would be an increase from $8,000 to $10,000. Laura Kelly wants to axe taxes on groceries, diapers, and feminine hygiene products. That's already going to happen by 2025. She wants to get rid of it by April 1st of this year. Also, a plan to double the child and dependent care tax credit. And then a back-to-school holiday. That would see a 4-day tax-free holiday in August, which would remove sales taxes on clothing, school supplies, computer software, computers, computer supplies, all the things that people oftentimes are buying before they go back to school in August. So that's the comprehensive tax plan that Democratic Governor Laura Kelly wrote out. And she has got Republicans on their heels now. Now, listen, we talked to House Majority Leader Chris Croft yesterday. He's a Republican. He said they're going to have their own tax plan later this week, and that's great. And, this is not a perfect tax plan by any stretch of the imagination, but it certainly exceeded any of my expectations from Governor Kelly's office. And she is setting the scene and she is setting the table to try to flip seats in an election year. Now, she's not up for re-election, but all the state reps are up for re-election, and I believe all the state senators as well are up for re-election, or at least a bunch of them, if I have that right. And she's trying to break the supermajority that Republicans have in the state Senate and the state House. And this is a brilliant way to go about doing it. Come right out of the gates in a Republican state with a big plan to cut taxes and get Republicans on board. She does not get the credit that she should from many who disagree with her on most things, which I would include myself in. But she does not get the credit that she deserves for being an incredibly savvy politician. And now you sit here and you look at what's to come, and Republicans are chasing their tail now. Well, we've got some plans to cut taxes too. Here's what we've got. She already beat you to it. She's got a bipartisan plan rolled out. I didn't see this coming. So we're trying to get the governor on the show here some point in the next couple of days. But to relate this to Joe Biden, this is what Joe Biden thinks he is. He thinks he's this moderate, savvy, smooth operator who really knows how to beat his opponents at the game of politics and punch them when they don't see it coming, figuratively, of course. But he doesn't do that. Now he's just a decrepit old man who doesn't know where he is half the time. I mean, that's come on, man. That's what he is. Laura Kelly is actually what Joe Biden and Joe Biden allies think he is, but is no longer and never really was. He's also just not a very bright man. Laura Kelly may not be, the biggest charmer in the world. She may not have that huge personality, but dang, I mean, she's won 2 elections in this state as a Democratic governor in Kansas. She's played her cards right. Yes, she's had some help from the usual suspects in the media, but you can't just blame it on that, right? That's been the case for years, whether it's locally or nationally. That's not going to change. But it continues to work for her, whether you like it or not. And I'm not sitting here saying that I'm doing cartwheels over it. I'm certainly not. But I can admit when you're having a heck of a run and when you're literally pushing every button, I don't want to say to perfection, but you've pushed it well enough where you go into an election year and Laura Kelly may single-handedly, through her political savviness, help her own party in this state get some big wins later this fall and break the Republican supermajority in Topeka. And then what's next for her? Well, I've already heard some rumblings that she may ultimately make a bid for U.S. Senate in 2026 against Roger Marshall. Of course, she's going to be done in 2026 as governor. And I was looking it up the other day. How old is Laura Kelly? I mean, she's 73. So in 2026, she'll be 76 years old. It's a spring chicken. She's a pup in politics, You're not really weathered in politics till you're at least 85 these days. Wouldn't you can say, John?
Rookie.
Yeah. Right. I mean, she could do one term.
Yeah.
And if she feels like she could do one term and, get into her early 80s, I mean, crap, with the way things are looking right now, we're going to have a president who's in his mid-80s. So U.S. senators don't really do anything anyway. Let's be honest. They're talking heads on TV at this point in time. You telling me she couldn't do that from her mid-70s to early 80s? She could do it. And by the way, she'd have a real chance. She's the only person statewide I could actually see giving Roger Marshall a serious run for his money. But if I'm Roger Marshall, I wouldn't want to see her on the ballot on the other side. I wouldn't. Coming up next, we will stay in Kansas. Jake LaTurner, Kansas congressman, is going to be here because of a proposal that he has that is not nearly getting the attention that it should. I think it's time that we start talking about this, but he is urging the Biden administration to investigate the Chinese Communist Party and its ties to buildings near sensitive U.S. military sites. We'll get to him and then Kevin Keatsman right after that on KCMO Talk Radio.